When should someone consider estate planning?
Welcome to Barry's Bites. Please join our host, attorney and financial advisor Chris Barry.
What I see is what I call the life cycle of estate planning. Typically, when you're age 30 to 40, maybe now you have a child, right? You have children, and you could have children beforehand. I'm just kind of stereotyping right now. In 30s, 40s, that's when you start having kids, maybe even earlier. But really, the first consideration, the first time you should think about an estate plan is when you have a child. Now, to be clear, and if you do have adult age children, age 18 to 25, they don't need a full estate plan, but you need to have a medical power of attorney for them. So if they're away at college, God forbid they're injured, you need to be able to make medical decisions for them. You need to get access to their medical information. So you should have a financial and medical power of attorney for those adult age children. Again, an 18 to 25-year-old, they don't care. They're not thinking about this. It's you as a parent should have this in place. Understand, once they turn 18, legally they're an adult. So you don't have any ability to make decisions for them. So it needs to be in writing. You need to create your own rule book. That said, most people, once they have their first kid, they need to think about at least putting together a basic will that talks about guardianship, where if you were to pass away, who would take care of that child? And then a lot of times, because we have things like life insurance, you might want to look at a basic living trust. And then as we begin to age, now we get into our 50s or 60s, now our kids are adults, we're seeing who they're marrying, and we want to make sure that we want to avoid probate upon death and make sure everything goes where it's supposed to, and maybe build in protection from the in-laws. So whatever we leave to our kids, instead of it going outright to them in a pillowcase of money, but because we're concerned about what happens with the in-laws, what happens if there's a divorce, we don't want that money lost. Instead, we might want to put together what we call a legacy estate plan, where whatever we leave to the kids are protected from divorces, lawsuits, creditors, bankruptcies, etc. Make sure that that money stays in the bloodline. And then also around that same time, we might want to consider an asset protection trust to protect against long-term care costs. As we get older, we start to see that our parents need long-term care, and we want to make sure that everything that you've worked so hard for isn't lost due to long-term care costs, that type of thing. So when should you consider an estate plan? Well, once you have that first kid, you need to have at least a basic plan in place. And then as you begin to age, as you accumulate more wealth, maybe the planning gets a little more sophisticated to ensure that what you leave to the next generation isn't lost to a divorce, lawsuit, creditor action, or bankruptcy, and then also build in protections against long-term care.